네, 시간이 어느덧 4시가 되어서
Since it
이제
is 4
온라인
o'clock
세미나를
in Korea,
시작하도록
let us begin the
하겠습니다.
online seminar.
Good afternoon and good morning from Korea, everyone. Welcome to the second webinar of the 2025 Global Foodture Project, organized by the Global Foodture Alliance. I am Hyungjin from Foodpolis, and we are delighted to have you join us today from across the world, including Europe, Southeast Asia, and Korea. This webinar is part of the Global Foodture Project, an international initiative to promote innovation and collaboration in the food tech sector. Today, we will hear from leading experts in the health functional products and ingredients industry. They will share insights into the newest technologies, case studies, and current projects in the markets to shape the future of food across borders. This webinar provides real-time translation. You can select the language by clicking More in the globe icon. If you are a Korean participant, please select Korean. If you are an international participant, please choose English. All questions will be collected at the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A box. Okay, now we will start with the presentations. Our first speaker is Kyungbae Lee, Senior Project Manager at Foodpolis in the Functional Food Department. He will provide a comprehensive overview on the ongoing research projects of Foodpolis's Functional Food Evaluation Center, with a special focus on deriving functional ingredients from food side streams. From rice husks to onion peels, these sessions will help us understand which agricultural byproducts are currently in research in Korea and share successful cases of upcycled functional food products. Mr. Kyungbae Lee, the floor is yours.
네, 소개 감사합니다.
As also
첫 번째
introduced, my name
발표를
is
맡게 된
Kyungbae. I'm your first speaker,
이경배입니다.
Kyungbae from
우선 이
Foodpolis.
글로벌 푸드 투어에
I'm
발표
delighted to be
연사로
part of
참여하게
the
되어서
Global
매우
Foodture
영광입니다.
webinar as a speaker.
오늘 제가 발표할
So
내용은
topic I'm going to cover
건강기능
today
식품에서의
is
업사이클에 대한
the
그런 내용입니다.
upcycling of the
먼저
functional food.
저희 기관 소개부터 좀
First,
간단히
let me
말씀을
introduce my
드리겠습니다.
institution briefly first.
전 세계 푸드 마켓 트렌드가
If you see the global food
2025년까지
trend
약
by
10조
2025,
달러에 이를 것으로 예상되고
$10
있습니다.
trillion
그리고
market size will be
제가 속한
seen.
대한민국,
And
특히
actually, I'm
아시아
from
패시픽
Korea. So in case
리전도
of
이러한
Asia Pacific
글로벌 이 푸드
region,
마켓 시장에서
the
약
region will take
42%를 차지할 것으로
42% of
예상이
the
되고,
global food market,
국내에
according to estimation.
대한민국의 푸드 인더스트리
And
또한
Korea's food
지속적으로 성장을
industry
하고
will
있습니다.
also grow continuously.
이런 추세에 발맞춰서
Seeing this global trend,
한국푸드산업클러스진흥원
my
이 간략히
institution,
말씀드려서 푸드폴리스가
Foodpolis, was born
만들어지게 되었습니다.
against this background.
저희 푸드폴리스는
Foodpolis,
농식품부 산하의
being part of
국가
the Ministry of Agriculture,
공공기관으로서
Food and Rural
스타트업
Affairs as a
기업부터
public agency,
시작해서
provides
글로벌
supports and
컴퍼니로
creates
성장을 할 수
favorable
있도록
conditions so that the food
다양한 그런
businesses can go
지원들을
global and find a new path.
오픈 스크린
Oh, I need to,
잠시만요.
please give me a second.
죄송합니다. 네,
I
잘 보이시나요?
beg your kind understanding. Can you see my screen right now?
예.
Okay.
예, 이어서 발표를
So
하겠습니다.
let me continue.
저희 기관은
So my
이런
institution, as you
스타트업
can see
기업부터
here,
시작을 해서
supports not only
글로벌한
startups
컴퍼니로 성장을 할
but
수
global
있도록
companies so
다양한
that they
그런
can make a
지원들을
success
해주고
out of
있습니다.
outside of Korea. So we
이런
are providing various
전문적인 지원을 해줄
supports.
수 있도록
So in
총
order to give
12개의 지원
specialized kind
센터를
of
운영하고
services, we
있는데요.
have 12 support
패키징부터
centers. From
품질 안정
packaging all
그리고
the way
건강
to
기능
the
식품의
quality,
개발을 할 수
safety,
있는
and the development of
펑셔널
the functional
이발레이션
product are all supported by
센터를
these 12
구축하고
centers.
있습니다. 제가 속한
And
그런
I'm
센터이기도
part
하고요.
of this
이
center as well.
건강기능식품 기능성 평가 센터에 대해서
So I'm working for the
말씀드리면은
functional evaluation center.
이 센터에서는
This center
건강기능식품의
provides
유효성과
the
독성을
efficacy and
평가해 줄 수 있는
toxicity
그런
evaluation kind
많은
of
장비들을
test.
보유를
We
하고
have
있고
a lot of
또한
devices and
국제적인
equipment for
수준의
testing
인증인 트리플
armed
락과
with the
GLP
globally
인증을
recognized
보유를 하고
AAA,
있습니다.
LAC, and
그래서
GLP
제가 속한
certified
이곳은
facilities.
건강
So these
기능식품
centers
개발에 최적화되어 있는 곳이라고
is kind of
말씀드릴 수
optimized and
있겠습니다.
specialization in the
본론으로
functional
들어가서
product. Let
전
me dive
세계
into the main topic.
음식물 쓰레기의 현황을
So let me talk
말씀을
about the
드리면은
current
유엔
overview
세계
of the
식량
global
농업
food
기구의
waste. The UN
2023년
FAO
보고서에
2024
따르면은
reports revealed that
2022년
as of
기준 약
2022, global
10.5억
food
톤에
waste
달하는
generation
음식물
recorded
쓰레기가
10.5
발생된다고
ton in
합니다.
quantity
이로 인한
and
경제적
$1
손실은
trillion
약 1조
in
달러에
terms
이른다고
of
합니다.
economic loss.
각국의 나라별
To break
현황을
down the
말씀드리면은
statistics by
미국의
country,
경우
the US
매년 5천만
produces
톤의
60
음식물
million tons
쓰레기가
of food
발생이
waste
되고
per year,
1인당 기준으로
or
환산을 하면은
147
147kg에 달하는
kilogram
음식물
per
쓰레기가
capita.
발생된다고 합니다. 우리 대한민국도
Korea
매년
also
130kg에
produces
달하는 음식물
130
쓰레기를
kilogram of
배출을 하고
food
있고
waste per
유럽
person.
연합의
For
경우
European Union, it
5,800만 톤의
was
음식물
58
쓰레기가
million
배출이 됩니다.
ton in total.
굉장히 많은 음식물
So
쓰레기
this is a
배출이
huge amount of
실제로 되고
food waste
있는데요.
being generated across the
이
globe.
음식물 쓰레기와 농업 부산물과의 연관성을 좀
So
말씀을
what is the
드리면은
correlation between food waste and
전체
agriculture
생산되는
byproduct?
이 농산물의 20%가량만이
20% of
가공되어서
the agriculture
사용되어지고
products are
나머지
actually used by
80%는
end
농업
customers, whereas
부산물로
80%
버려진다고
of the
합니다.
crop
이렇게
production are
버려지는
wasted as
농업
byproduct.
부산물의 비율이
And that
전체 발생되는
80%
음식물
of
쓰레기의 약
agriculture byproduct
28%를
accounts for
차지한다고 합니다.
18% of the global
굉장히
food
많은
waste.
비율이죠.
So this is a huge amount.
그래서 이런 버려지는 음식물의 감소
To reduce the amount of
리덕션을
food
시키는
waste,
그런 방법 중에 농산물의
one of the way of
발생되는
reduction
부산물의
is the
고부가가치화가 유리하는
valorization of
그런 순환 경제에
agro-food
하나의
byproduct,
중요한
which is
핵심이 될 수
very
있다는 것을
important
말씀드릴 수
key to
있습니다.
make our economy more circular.
한 연구 결과에 따르면
One research
이런
shows
버려지는
that among
음식물의
many food
고부가가치화에는
waste being wasted, we can
피라미드
try
구조의 여러 단계들이
valorization
있는데
method, and you
낮은
can see this is a
단계에
pyramid of the
에너지를
valorization
만들 수
method.
있고 그
Energy
다음으로는
production is the low
동물의
level of
산 그리고
valorization,
바이오
followed
연료
by animal
그리고 그
feed
다음에는
and the
건강기능식품 개발로
biofuel
있습니다.
and
그래서
functional
이런
products.
건강기능식품
So
개발에
health functional
음식물
product
쓰레기를
development can greatly contribute to
업사이클링하고
the upcycling
고부가가치하는 데
and
하나의
valorization
방법이 될
of
수
the food
있다는 것.
byproduct being wasted.
이렇게 버려지는 음식물
As
쓰레기를
such,
통해서
by
다시
using
만들어질
the
수 있는
food
그런
waste, you
만들어지는
can create something
제품들의
of
전
higher
세계
value.
마켓 사이즈를
And if you see the market
살펴보면은
size of the upcycling food
2025년
waste,
기준
by
약 600억
2025,
달러에
the market
달한다고
size
합니다.
reached
매년
$60.7 billion,
연평균
and
5%의
annual growth
성장률을 보이면서
of the market is around
2035년까지는
5%, and by
989억
2035, the market
달러에
size
이를
will
것으로
reach
예측이 됩니다.
$98.9 billion.
또한 이런 업사이클링 푸드에
Also,
대한
what
소비자
about the consumer
인식들을
perception
살펴보면은
on upcycled
미국의
food?
한 설문조사에 따르면
In one
UFA라고
US
하는
survey,
업사이클링 푸드 인증 마크인데요. 이
there is
마크가
a
붙어 있는 제품의
certified
경우
mark called
기꺼이 구매를
UFA, and
하고자
if they see any
한다라는 보람을
label
보이는
UFC, they are willing to pay more to buy the upcycled product, and 85.6% of respondents said they are willing to buy
업사이클링
it.
푸드의 한 예인데요.
There are
현재
major
미국에서 이제
examples of
시판되고 있는
upcycled
그런
food.
다양한
So these are
업사이클링
many products
푸드들입니다.
actually sold in the
맥주
US market.
부속물에서
In a beer factory,
만들어지는
byproducts
스낵부터
are used to
단백질
manufacture
파우더
snacks and
그리고
protein
코코넛
powder.
부속물에서
Byproducts
만들어지는
from
그런
coconut milk
제품들과
lines can be
커피,
dried and crushed
체리
to make
껍질에서
value-added product. Coffee
만들어지는
cherry peels from
콜드브루
coffee
음료들
factory can be
이런
used to
것들이
make cold brew
현재
drink.
미국의
So these
업사이클링
are some of the examples of the
푸드의
upcycled
예시입니다.
food in the US.
그 대한민국에서는
In
최근 이
Korea, recently,
펫푸드
pet food
관련해서
are
굉장히
made
많은 그런
with
산업들이
once wasted
활발하게
food because the
진행을 하고
market
있는데
size of the pet food
마찬가지로 펫푸드
is quite
관련된
rapidly
그런
growing. So you
업사이클링
can see some examples of the
펫푸드들도 현재
upcycled
출시가 되고 있습니다.
pet food being sold in the Korean market, as you can see here.
이러한 업사이클링 관련해서 국내에서
In relation to the
정부의
upcycling
R&D
of food
지원에 대한 그런
waste,
현황을
there
좀
are
말씀을
some
드리면은
government R&D subsidies, as you can
2020년
see here.
기준
As of
정부의 업사이클링 관련
2020, the
R&D의
amount or the
그
level
지원
of
건수가
supports of the government
2020년
have
기준
increased
급격하게
significantly.
증가를
As
하는 것을 볼
you
수
can see
있습니다.
the huge surge
지원
of
건수뿐만
the
아니라
government support,
지원의
not just
규모
in
또한
number,
굉장히
but in
급격하게
terms of the
증가를 하고
size, it
있습니다.
has grown significantly.
이런 추세에 발맞춰서
Seeing
저희
this
기관에서도
upcycling trend, my
국내
center
농산물
also has been
소비를
studying
진작시키고 이런
these
국내
issues to
농산물의
improve the
가능성을
consumption of
반영해서
domestically produced products
고부가가치화하는
and to
기능성
improve
경영
the
사업을
value
진행을
of
했습니다.
those
이
products by
사업의
looking into
경우에는
their
저희
functionalities.
기관이 주관
This
기관이고
program
다른
was
많은
led by
전문가들과
my
협업을
center,
통해서
and we have working with
2020년부터
many relevant
진행을 했습니다.
institutions beginning from 2022.
이 중에 첫
Among
번째로
them,
저희가 그 다양한 그런 후보
actually,
소재들을
we had many
검토를 했는데
candidates
이
for our
중에
study,
쌀에
but
대해서
among
먼저
them, I'm going to
말씀을
talk about the
드리겠습니다.
rice first.
쌀은
Rice
국내 곡물 그런 생산량 중에서
accounts for
90%를 차지합니다.
90% of
그리고
domestic grain production,
국내 농가의
and
수입량의
it
40%를
takes up
차지합니다.
40% of farmers'
또한 이
income in
쌀은
Korea.
국내에서 굉장히 많이 생산되면서 소비되고
So it
있는
is commonly produced
다생산
and
다소비 농산물
consumed
중에
in
하나입니다.
Korea.
대한민국 사람이라고 하면은
Koreans
아마
also believed
식사 시간에
that
이 쌀을
rice
활용한
is
밥을
staple,
반드시 아마
which
섭취를
cannot
할
be
것입니다.
missed in everyday meal.
그리고 이건 이제
And here
국내에
is
그
some
농산물의 부산물의 그런 다양한
breakdown
종류를
of the
보여드리는데요.
rice
보신 것처럼
byproducts, as you
쌀이
can
약
see here.
70% 이상 이 쌀과 관련된 그런 농업 부산물들이
These
발생을
are the
하게 됩니다.
rice-related byproducts, as you can see in the slide.
쌀에 관련된 그런 농업 부산물들에 대해서 좀
So let me
설명을
briefly
드리겠습니다.
introduce the byproducts of rice.
쌀은 실제로 저희가 섭취를 할 때
Before we
탈곡이라고 하는
consume rice,
공정
we
과정을
need
거칩니다.
to kind of
이 제조
process the
공정을
meal,
거치게
the rice
되는데
first,
이 쌀에는 이 과정을
and
거치면서 발생되는
this is called
다양한
dehusking.
부산물들이
And while
발생을 합니다.
dehusking rice,
먼저
you generate
그
many
쌀의
byproducts.
겉껍질인
First, the
라이스
shell
허스크,
of the rice
완저라고
is called
부르고요.
rice husk.
그 겉껍질 안에
And inside of the
속껍질인
shell, there
라이스
is an
브란,
inner shell as
그리고
well, and
이
there that
쌀겨.
is called
앞으로 이제
rice
제가
bran.
중점적으로 좀 연구에 대해서
And this
말씀드릴
is
소재
one
중에
of our
하나인데요.
major
이
research topic actually,
쌀겨에서 추출된 라이스 브란의
because
오일,
oil
그리고
can be extracted from
쌀무인
rice
라이스
bran,
정,
which is called rice bran
그리고
oil, and
최종적으로
there is rice
마지막에
germ,
발생되는
and
벼축,
finally at the last stage,
그리고 중간에
the
그
factory
깨진
produces
그런
rice straw,
쌀들이
and in the
발생을 하게
process
됩니다.
of processing rice, broken rice are also produced as well.
저희는 이 라이스 브란에 대해서
So for this
우선
rice bran,
시스터마틱
we
리뷰라고
did a
하는 수업을
systematic
통해서 이 라이스
review
브란에 대해서
to
연구
understand
소재로 사용을
the
했습니다.
rice bran
이
first.
체계적 문헌 고찰이라고 하는 이 방법은
The methodology
식약처의
called the
개별
systematic
인정형 원료
review
신청 과정 중에 하나이기도
It's
하고
quite
또
important to get
이미
the
등록되어 있는
individually
그런 그
recognized
건강기능식품의
approver from the
재심사에서
Ministry of Food
사용되어지기도
and
하는
Drug
그런
Safety,
비법 중에
and
하나로
this methodology is also
판매류나
used for the
다양한 그런
re
문헌들을 입찰을
verification of the
통해서
product, which
관련
means that we
연관성들을
look through the
검색을
previous
해서
paper relating to the
그
research
로직을
topic
만드는
and
그런
do the
비법 중에
research
하나입니다.
to create kind of proper logic
이
for your
시스템마틱
projects.
리뷰를 통해서
So
쌀
through this
벼에
systematic
대해서
review, we wanted to
알아봤습니다.
understand
이 쌀
the
벼에는
rice
가장
bran
많이 알려져
first.
있는 게 감마 오리자놀
I mean
성분이 많이
husk.
함유된
And
것으로
it
알려져
turns out
있고
that the
또
gamma
페놀릭
original is quite
에시드도
rich
많이
in
함유된
husk,
것으로
not to
알려져
mention the
있습니다.
ferulic acid.
그래서 이 감마 오리자놀 성분과
Gamma
페놀릭 에시드는
original and ferulic
오일류의
acid
이런 기능 성분
are kind
외에도
of oily
펩타이드가
substances,
많이 함유되어
and there are
있는데
also peptide
이런
rich in husk
오일
as well.
성분과
So these
펩타이드가
oily
많이
substances
연관이
and
있는 그런
peptide
기능성을 확인을 해본
are
결과
very rich, and we studied what kind of
지방의 그런 부족
functionalities are
아니면은
related to those
혈당
kind of
조절
substances.
그리고
And it
혈압
turns out that
조절,
those
간
substances can be
건강과
used
관련이
to
있는
improve the
그런
health of
문헌들이 많이
the
검색이 됐습니다.
liver
이
and
중에서
to minimize the
펩타이드 같은
hyperlipid
경우에는
symptoms.
그
In
펩타이드의
case of
종류가 굉장히
peptide,
많다는
actually there are a lot
다양한 종류의
of kinds of peptide
펩타이드들이 있어서
in nature.
저희가 펩타이드는
So for
연구에
peptide,
적합하지 않다고 판단을
we
하고
thought that it is not the right
오일류의
research
감마
topic
오리자놀
for us,
성분이
so we
가장
decided to
많이
focus on the
함유되어
gamma
있는
original
그런 최적의 추출
because we thought
공정의
that we could come up with the optimized
실험을
extraction
통해서
method
연구를
for
진행을
the gamma
했습니다.
original.
그래서
So as you can see
70%
here,
에탄올
we use 70% of
추출을 통해서
ethanol for
가장 많은
extraction
감마
and
오리자놀
produce the
성분을
largest amount
낼
of
수 있는
gamma
최적의
original with
추출 공정을
70%
만들었고
ethanol. So that
이
was
최적
optimized
추출 공정을
method for us.
통해서
And through this
생산된
optimal manufacturing process,
그런 최적 추출의
we
라이스 브란
produce the
추출물을
rice bran
활용을 해서 세포
byproduct.
실험과
And we
동물
did a
실험을
sales
통해서
study and animal study as
연구를
well with
진행한
this
결과
oil.
유의미한 그런
And the
결과를
outcome said
얻어서
that the
2023년에
substances was quite meaningful enough.
뉴트리언트라고 하는
And
저널에
we
게재가
published a
되었습니다.
paper on this journal called Nutrients.
간단하게 이
To
결과들을 좀
simply
말씀을
speaking
드리면은
about the outcome of the study,
이 라이스 브란 익스트랙트를 다양한 공정을
rice
통해서
bran
최적의 그런
extracts
공정을
can be
통해서
produced in many
감마
different
오리자놀
ways, but we
성분이
found
가장
the
많이
optimal one to
나오는
produce the
그런
maximum amount of gamma
공정에서의
original,
추출물을
and that
다양한 그
extract
공정에
were
따라서
tested
이
in different
지방 축적률을
condition
활용해 본
so that we
결과
can see the lipid
이 지방
accumulation level.
축적률도 감소시키는 것을
And
세포
then the gamma
실험에서도 확인을
original
할 수
turns out to be it
있었고
is effective for
또 동물
reducing the
실험에서는
lipid kind of
고지방식이라고
accumulation
하는
in this test.
사료를
And we
장기간
fed
그 렛들에
the
투여를
high-fat
해서
food to
고지방식이 동물
rat for a
모델에서
long period of time
어,
to induce
그
the fat accumulation
하이퍼리피데미아나
within mouth to understand the
헤파토스테아토시스라고
impact
하는 그런
on the
질환을 유발을 하고
hyperlipidemia or
동시에
hepatosteatosis in
이런
mouse
ORBE
models. Also,
그 라이스 브란
ORBE,
추출물을
rice
투여를
bran
했습니다. 그
extract,
결과
were
이런
fed to the
헤파토스테아토시스나
mouse
하이퍼리피데미아의 그런
with the symptom
증상들이
of hyperlipidemia and
유의미하게 건조를
hepatosteatosis,
했고
and those
이게
symptoms were kind of
AMPK나
improved in a
스탯3라고 하는 그런
statistically meaningful
패스웨이를 통해서
manner by
조작이
using
되었다는
MK
것을
or STAT3
확인할 수
pathway.
있었습니다.
Those kind of lipid accumulation
지금까지는
was
이제 쌀벼에
regulated.
대해서
So far,
말씀을
I talked
드렸는데요.
about the
그 다음으로
husk and the
저희가 이제
bran,
양파에 대해서
and next I'm gonna talk
집중을
about the
했습니다.
onion, which was the second research
양파는
topic.
국내에서도 많이
Onions
생산되고
are also
쌀과
commonly
마찬가지로
produced and consumed in
다생산,
Korea, just like
다소비되는
the
그런
rice.
농산물 중에
So
하나입니다.
it is kind
양파
of
같은 경우에는 양파
rice.
껍질이
If you see
양파에서
the
약 한
skin of
10에서
onions,
20% 정도의 비율로 차지를 하고 있고
the
이
skin accounts
양파
for 10 to
껍질에는
20% of the onion mass,
양파의
and in the
그
skin,
본체보다 훨씬 더
you
많은
can see
쿼세틴이라고 하는
more
플라보노이드
quercetin
성분이 함유되어 있는
concentration
것으로 잘
more
알려져 있습니다.
than the center of the
그래서
onions.
저희는 이 쿼세틴 함량이
So we
가장
decided to find
많이
the optimal methodology
많이
to produce the maximum
나올
amount
수
of
있도록
this
하는 추출 공정을
quercetin substance,
실험을 통해서 확인을
and we
했습니다.
did a study to find this
마찬가지로 이
methodology.
쌀개와
Likewise,
마찬가지로 시스테마틱
we
리뷰를
did a
통해서
systematic review
다양한 그런 논문들을
to
검토를
understand
했었고
the knowledge of the
여기에서
prior
다양한
research.
공정에 따라서
And it turns out that in
일관된
each
기능성들이
process
일관되어
condition,
있다는
these are the
것을
functions related
확인을
to each
보시는
process.
것처럼
As you can see
에탄올
here,
추출물에서
ethanol extraction is very
오베서티나
effective when it comes to
혈압 관련,
obesity,
그리고
pressure
혈당,
regulation,
그리고
blood sugar
혈액순환
level, bladder
이런
circulation.
것들이
So
연관이
these
있는
are some of the
것으로 확인이
functionalities of the
되었고
ethanol
원수
extraction.
추출보다는
For the water
에탄올
extraction,
추출에서의
I
더
think
많은
ethanol
기능
extraction
성분들이 있는
has more
것으로 확인이 되어서
diverse
저희가 에탄올
functions than the water
추출로
extraction. So we decided to
가장 최적의
go
공정을
with the
잡아서
ethanol
이 양파
extraction and
껍질에서의
decide the
퍼세틴 성분의
optimal
함량이
processes
높은 그런
to
추출물을
produce
만들었고
as much
이
as quercetin
추출물로
as possible.
세포
And with
실험과
this
동물
quercetin
실험을
extract,
진행을
we did a
해서
cell
올해
and animal study.
2026년에
And in
이
2025,
저널에
we published the paper in this journal,
논문에
as you can
게재가
see
되었습니다.
here.
간단하게 이제 실험 결과들을
To briefly
말씀을
explain
드리면은
about
하이팻
this study,
다이어트 모델을
we
고지방식의
tested the high-fat
투여를 해서
diet
하이팻
model.
다이어트
So we
동물
fed
모델을
high-fat
만들었고
meal
이
to
동물
mouse,
모델에
and with this mouse,
이 어니언 필 익스트랙트를
we
4달
fed
동안
the onion
동시에
peel
같이
extract
투여를 한
for
결과
4 months
지방세포의
simultaneously,
사이즈도
and it
감소를
turns out that the
하고
size of the
간에 있는
lipid
이 지방
reduced and the
크기와
fat within the
지방의 세포
river
수도
also
감소를 하는
reduced
것을
in terms of the
확인할
cell
수 있었습니다.
amount and the
마찬가지로
fat
이런
amount.
지방과 관련된
So these
그런 대사에
fat-related
연관이 있는
metabolism
다양한 그런
were kind
인자들을
of
없애보는
regulated
실험하고
by this
다운레귤
kind of
레귤레이션을
pill
통해서
extract.
이런
So through up
그
regulation or
지방
down
연관
regulation
인들
of the
질환에서도
pathway channels,
양파 껍질에
the pill
효과가 있는 것을
extract turns out
확인할
to
수
be quite
있었습니다.
effective for up regulation or down regulation of the
결론을
lipid-related factors.
말씀드리겠습니다.
To conclude,
저희 기관에서는
my
특히 저희
institution
센터에서는
or my
이러한
center
버려지는 음식물
has been
쓰레기,
studying
특히
the
농업 부산물에서
food
발생되는 이
waste
부산물의
or the
고부가가치화하는 데
agriculture
있어서
byproduct being
쌀저와
wasted to
양파
valorize
껍질을 활용을
them, and
해서
especially rice and onion
유익한
skin were
기능성이 있는 그런
kind of selected
유의미한
as a
결과들을
candidates.
얻었고
And it
현재
turns out that
인체
their
적용
functionality is quite
실험을
meaningful, and we
진행
are
중에
preparing
있습니다.
for the in-human
그래서
study as well.
나중에
So in the near
건강기능식품으로
future, I
개발
believe
완료될
that
경우에
these products will turn
이런
into
그
a
과정들이
health functional products.
음식물 쓰레기로 인해
And by doing
발생되는
so, I
국내
believe that we'll
손실량을
be able to
감소시키고
contribute to
국내 농가
reducing the economic
국내
loss
농가의 그런 소득
caused by
증대에도 기여를
food
할 수
waste
있다는
while
것을
helping the farmers to gain greater
말씀드릴 수
income at the
있겠습니다.
same time.
예, 저희 푸드폴리스는
So far, I
이렇게
talked about
국내
my
농가의 소득
presentation from
향상과
Foodpolis. As
식품
such, my
기업들의
institution is
생산을
working
위해서
very
더
hard to
많은
grow
노력들을
farmers
하고
and
있습니다.
current businesses at the
제
same time in the
발표는
field
이것으로
of the
마치도록
food.
하겠습니다.
This concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Kyungbae, for the eye-opening presentation. Well, in my personal experience, I used to easily neglect side streams like onion peels, rice, bran during cooking. But after this presentation, I might look at them in a different way. Yes, thank you again for the presentation. Now we will move on to the healthy functional food industry players in around the world. We welcome Mr. Hyungjin Lee, CEO of Webiom, a Korean dietary supplement company focusing on microbiome and probiotics technologies. He will introduce the market environment of microbiome and how Webiome research or science has backed probiotics, as well as upcycling opportunities in probiotic side streams to create new functional foods. This session will highlight how these technologies are shaping new solutions for gut health. Please welcome Mr. Hyungjin Lee to the floor.
예, 안녕하십니까. 방금 소개받은
Hello,
위바이옴의
I am
이형진입니다.
Hyungjin, CEO of
초대하여서 반갑고
Webiom.
이렇게
I'm very glad to see
설명드리기
you and thank you for
초대해주셔서
inviting
감사할
me
수
to this
있습니다.
wonderful webinar.
저희 위바이옴은 마이크로바이옴
Webiom
연구에서
is
신약을
conducting research
개발하는
on microbiome to
공동체이고
develop new
국내
drugs,
가장 큰 유통회사인
and we
이마트가
have
합작을
the
해서 마이크로바이옴 기술을
partner
통해서
as
글로벌
eMart,
기금
the
사업을
largest
이루어지는
distributor, to
닌스벤처
disseminate
기업입니다.
the microbiome related
전기차는
products. Our
주로
company is a
닌센
joint
바이오랩이
venture company. The
마이크로바이옴 기술에
We
집중을 하고 있기
Bio
때문에
Lab is
이쪽에서도
focusing on the
한국사업을
studying
하게
on
됐습니다.
microbiome. So we
프로바이오틱
are
사업은
also working
사업을 진행을 하고
to
있습니다.
provide the
오늘
probiotics
발표
products that is
부분에서
related to
저희가
microbiome. So in the
프로바이오틱스를
first part
통해서
of the
건강기능
presentation
식품 사업을 영위하는
is
기업이라고
dedicated
말씀을
to
드리고
our
두
businesses
번째로는
developing
프로바이오틱스 생산
probiotics to
과정에서
contribute to the health.
발생하는
And in the
부산물을
second
통해서
part,
또 세
I
번째
will talk about the
건강기능식품이나
byproducts of the
기타
food to
활용
be used to
업사이클링
develop
업체들의
the other
어떤
functional
부분들을
foods as part
말씀을 드릴
of
수
the
있도록 하겠습니다.
upcycling projects.
먼저 그 수많은 건강기능식품의
First of
소재로 활용되는
all,
것들 중에서
I will talk
왜
about the
저희가 프로바이오틱스에
probiotics
집중을
and
하고
why
있는지
we
간단히
focus on
말씀을 드리겠습니다.
probiotics among many materials for functional food.
건강기능식품은 결국
So when it comes to
인체의
functional
건강에 대한
food,
이제 고민을 이제 하는 영역이고요.
all products are designed
인체의 어떤 여러
out of
가지
concern
질병이나
about
질환들,
how we contribute to the
그러한
better health.
이 특성들은
And there are many
가장 큰
diseases,
원인은
and
DNA에 의해서
we look
작용하는
at the
그러한
characteristics of
거라고
diseases,
생각을 합니다.
and those
그리고
characteristics can be explained by looking at the DNA.
DNA가
So we inherit our DNA from our parents,
결정짓고
and
그러니까
these
그 사람의
DNAs
어떤 유전적인
determine the body
특성들이
type. And
사람의
if we
건강과
know the genomics
건강에 대한
information,
질
then we can predict
또는
how healthy
수명
they
장애
are and what kind of
생존할지
diseases
아닐지 뭐 이런
do
것들에
they
대해서도
develop,
이제는
or
작용을
they how
짓고
long they will live, or
많이들
if
보고
they are
있습니다.
obese or not. So we can predict many things
그럼에도
by looking
불구하고
at the DNA
유전체가
information. However,
인간에게
the
제공하는 건강
genomics
상태, 질환 발생
provides a
여부는
lot of
이
information,
팩터가
but
아니라는
that is
것을
not the only
다양한 형태로
one
설명이 될 수가
factor
있을
that
텐데요.
determine the diseases. There are many
특히나
other
저희가 20세기
factors
중반이
behind
되면서
the diseases. And since
사람마다
the mid
많은
20th
질환에 대해서
century, if
변화를
we look
겪고
at
있는데
the human
그
diseases,
경우를
there are
확인할
many
수가 있었습니다.
changes, and we can look at the
이
pattern
그래프를
of the
보시면
diseases.
그
So if you look at
1950년대만
this
해도
graph
발병률이 매우
back in the
높았던 여러 가지
1950s,
질환들이
there are particular diseases that
21세기로부터
showed a high
사실상
incidence or
발병률이 크게
prevalences, but
떨어지고
then
있습니다.
if it
반면 그
the prevalence and
1930년대부터
incidence
발병률이 거의
were in
없었던
decline
여러
in the
질환들이
2000s, but
한시대
some
와서
diseases that were
어마어마하게
rare back in the
발생했다라는 것을 볼 수가
1950s
있는데요.
are now
그러면서
showing
이
the high
프로바이오틱스들이
prevalence and incidence
여러 가지
in the
알러지
20s.
질환이라든지
So, for example, the
이동증
allergies
같은
or type 1 diabetes or
만성성
obesity
장애물이나 이제
or
크로모소무 질환이라든지
inflammatory bowel
그다음에
diseases,
스펙트럼
for example, the
장애물인
Crohn
오티즘까지
diseases
등등이
or the
있을 건데요.
autism spectrum.
앞서 말씀드렸듯이
So, as I said
유전체가
earlier,
어떤 것들을
the
결정하느냐에 따라서는
genomics
사람의 유전체는 사실
can
수백
have an
가지
impact on this, but
조금씩
if
변이가
the
일어날 수밖에
genomic would
없습니다만
influence
이
the
질환의
diseases,
유전체가
then over
바뀔
this
정도로
period of
드라마틱하게 변하지
time,
않았을까?
it would
그렇다면은
these
뭔가 유전적인
diseases patterns
변화가
should remain the
있다면은
same, but that's not
심리적인
true.
영향에 의해서
So
사람의 어떤
the
건강에
factors
여러 가지 영향을
may
미칠 수
have an
있다라는 것을
influence on
명심을
the
하실
health
필요가 있을
and
텐데요.
diseases on human
이 부분을
beings.
차단을 한 것이
So,
이제 제프리 고든
so
교수라는 분이
Professor
이분은
Jeffrey
마이크로바이옴의 아버지라고
Gordon
불리시는 분이고
is also known
자녀
for
넷의
the father
생명에
of the
대해서
microbiome, and he
파이널리스트로
also
올라가셨던
was listed in the
마이크로바이옴
final
초기
list
연구의
in
큰
the
영향을
Nobel
미친
as a Nobel laureate in the
유명한
Nobel
교수님이십니다.
Prize in the Physiology, and he's a professor at the Washington University. He
저희가
takes
유전체에
a
의한
look
영향을
at this one.
가장
So the
통제할 수 있는 그런
genomics
게 바로
the
일란성생물이고요.
influence of the genomics can be
일란성생물은
controlled if
부모님으로부터
we
관련돼서
look at the
유전체가
twins.
정확하게
So they
동일하게
have the exactly same
그런데 이분이 보시다
genes,
보니까 한 쌍둥이는 틀리가
and
달랐는데
they look at
다른
these
쌍둥이는
twins,
너무
but
뚱뚱한 겁니다.
some
유전체가 이 모든
the
것들을
twins
결정한다라는
show
게
the one
분명하다는
is
걸 알아야
obese and the
된다는
other
거죠.
one is not.
그래서 이
So that
유전성을
cannot be
가진 이
explained
쌍둥이의
just by the
성별,
genomics. study. So he looked at the stools of the twins and extracted some stools, and the twin mice were used as the test subjects. So the different stools were injected to these mouses. So the obese one's stool was injected to the mice, and that the mice became obese. And the lean one's stool was injected to another mice, and then that mice was lean. So there are many factors, and the microbiomes the is also one important factor that affects one's health. So this type of clinical test is one example. And since his research, since the mid 2000s, the scholars started the study on microbiome. So accumulated studies concluded that the uh, the, the microbiomes in the gut have a lot of impact on our body and the diseases, for example, cancer and even the mental illnesses. So the market in this field is growing rapidly, and we expect the market to grow faster than before. So if you look at this probiotics market, it is steadily growing, and we expect it to grow continuously.
그러다 보니까 이제 미국 같은 경우에는
So in the US,
이상 이제 판매가 되고 있는 되게
so there are some
프로바이오틱 제품이
probiotics products that are selling for about the $200 million in revenue, and a lot of probiotics products are now emerging in the market and getting very popular among us consumers.
오늘 웨비나에 참여하신 많은
Already,
이미 뭐
you would
섭취하고
know
계신
the
분들이
probiotics,
있고
and some of you already are taking the probiotics, and at least you are familiar with the probiotics. Then what kind of probiotics that we are dealing with at Webiom, and what kind of the probiotics that we are producing, and our products should be different from the other products. So I'll explain those. So this is a neighbor, which is a very large and major the online e-commerce platform. If you type in the probiotics in the search window, and you can see the about more than 720,000 products are available, and those products are showing up once you search for probiotics. And so there are so many probiotics products, and we also produce probiotics, but ours are a little bit different from the general probiotics because we are using a particular raw materials. And our parent company, Mobiotics, has this Smartium. The Go Bio Lab was founded by Professor Go Gwangpyo at Seoul National University, and he got a PhD at Harvard University, and he served as a professor in a U.S. University, and he worked with the professor. And when he was there, he saw the paper released by the Professor Gordon, and the Human Genome Project and Human Microbiome projects were conducted at the time as a national projects. So he focused on those types of projects, and he came back to Korea and became a professor at the Seoul National University, and he decided to study the microbiome in Korea in an earnest manner. And his research is similar to the research of the Professor Gordon. So he studied the twins as the subjects for his clinical testing. So he collected the data from the 2,000 twins, and he collected the stools, and he got some microbiome information from the stools, and he also got a lot of metadata from the bloods of the subjects. and he collected the multi-omics information through the study. And based on the data, he looked at the diseases and correlation with the microbiome, and the correlation between the microbiome and the human diseases were the study topics. So he accumulated data from his research, and through the research, he got the
실제 균주들을 이제 목에
5,000 the microbiome strains from the healthy patients, and also the 3,000 strains were collected from the vegetables and foods such as kimchi and many other Korean foods. So he collected 8,000 strains, and he got this bank as a library of the microbiome strains. And the cell line screening and animal model evaluation and the extraction of the strains for development, and the exploring the effective substance for the human mechanism. So he set up the whole process. So to simply explain our project, so this is the study of the liver disease cohort study. So the stools from the patients with liver disease and the lung patients with the liver disease biomarker were collected and compared, and the liver patients found to lack some particular strains. So from the control group, who are the healthy people, they had some good strains, and so the researchers collected the healthy microbiome strains, and so we got the license from the mobile lab, and we used it as a substance for the functional food. So I said we got the strains from the vegetables and the foods to explore the candidate substances. And this is the story of I'd like to share the story of the discovery of KLB 266. So when it comes to histamine, so there is a high level of awareness of the histamine intolerance in the US, but in Korea, we do not care much about histamine reaction. So we thought about why this kind of histamine intolerance reaction happens that way. So we found that the Koreans eat kimchi, which is rich with the lactic acid bacteria. So researchers at our company visited the 7 villages where many people show the longevity, the long lifespan, and we collected the kimchi sample, and so we purchased the kimchi, or we borrowed some kimchi. So through those kimchi, we discovered 721 strains. And among those 721 strains, we found the functional strains, and we used those to develop the antihistaminic functional foods. So as we are conducting this research and the project, so for example, lactobacillus strains. So the strain that we found from kimchi is Lactobacillus plantrum. Lactobacillus plantrum have different species, but so generally people cannot tell the different species. But so let me tell you this. The former president of the United States is Barack Obama, and the current president is Donald Trump. They look different. They have different skin color, they are totally different people. But if you look at the genes, the 99.9% of their genes are the same. So Michael Jordan, I'm a fan of Michael Jordan, and I like to watch the basketball, but I'm not good at playing basketball. The genes of myself and Michael Jordan are 99.9% the same. So as I said, the KBL 266, the Lactobacillus plantarum, and this one is the strain from our customer, Lactoplantarum and F1, which is the code name. And these are the same species under Lactobacillus. And the strains are 9 to 95% similar among each other. So I said that I and Michael Jordan share the 99.9% the same in terms of genes, but these two have a different the genes compared to the gene similarity among people. So these are produced by companies, and these lactobacillus strains can be uh, can be compared in the analogy to the teams. So I will say that we have a good elite basketball team, uh, and which are equivalent to the strains that we are developing. So we have Akkermansia muscipilia, which is the KBL 983 strain, and these have not been used as a material for the functional foods. And if I make an analogy with people, then these strains are considered like an alien. And these are new material that have not been used before. So we are focusing on these types of new strains to develop functional foods. So we are developing the probiotics by using the bacteria that can contribute to the health of vagina, and also we are developing the mental health related probiotics and even the kidney health related probiotics. So we are receiving the help from Foodpolis, and we have this our factory in Iksan. So we are developing these probiotics, and we are working very hard. So far, I have explained our products, the probiotics products. So in the factory, in the picture that I have showed you before, we are producing our products. So we also have some leftover or side streams. So I will talk about what we do about those side streams. So we have the supernatants. So we produce the 1,560 tons of such supernatants, which is the waste of the products. So we have this powder type probiotics, which is the end item, and this supernatant has been thrown away as a waste. So when we process this as a waste, we had to make a waste disposable facility by investing a lot of money, and had used a lot of toxic chemicals to dispose this supernatant. But if you think about what the supernatant is, so when we cultivate these strains, the conduct the metabolism, and in so doing, they secrete the supernatant. And from the perspective of people seeing this waste, this should be something that should be processed as a waste. And this is a very unfortunate situation. So we thought a lot about how to address this issue. So we decided we should not just simply throw away this supernatant. Now, And there are some farms nearby the factory, so we distribute this supernatant, and the farmers are making use of this supernatant in different ways. But to use this supernatant to create some value, we are studying now, and I think we are making some progress. So we collect the supernatant and we send it to membrane to filter it, and we screen the materials less than 200 nanometer, and we have the particles less than 20 nanometer, which are not used. So we screen these smaller molecules, and in that process, we are able to collect the particles between the 20 to 200 nanometers. And this can be used to get some exosome through the upcycling process. And this exosome can be frozen and turn into a powder. And with this exosome, we can produce food or cosmetic ingredients. This exosome is a high value ingredient. So we found that the supernatant can turn into this exosome. So we have this Staphylococcus and Lactobacillus and Lactobacillus. So these are the strains. So we were able to extract 5 exosomes. And with these ingredients, we conducted the test. So for the ingredients for functional foods and the cosmetic products, we were able to get a license for that matter. But we need to upgrade the processing method and procedures so that we can produce en masse at our factory in the future. So in this process, not just the probiotics, which are the main products, we think we can use the upcycling process to produce these high-value ingredients. And that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hyungjin Lee, for the interesting presentation. There's a saying in Korean that your gut is the second brain of your body. It is because the stomach has the nerve systems that forms clusters similar to how the human brain works. It seems like Webiom has a great solution to maintain human gut health, and they also have a great approach on utilizing and upcycling manufacturing side streams at their facilities. Now we turn to our third speaker, Miguel Cubero, CEO of Ingredalia from Spain. Ingredalia is an innovative technology company founded in 2017 with a clear mission to develop and market natural functional ingredients. They're currently focusing on an interesting ingredient by transforming broccoli byproducts into health functional ingredients. We now welcome Mr. Miguel Cubero to the floor.
Thank you so much, Jung. It's a pleasure to be here to have the opportunity to share our vision, our mission in the food world to create upcycling products. Let me share my presentation. I hope that you see it properly. Okay. You see the good one or the bad one? The small one or the big one?
The bad one, Miguel Ángel.
Bad one. Okay, 1 second. Now it's better, right?
Perfect.
Okay, so as Junho has already introduced you, we are a company that we are really trying to improve people's health and improve people's well-being using circular economy and food tech. those technologies that we have now implemented in the food system to improve things. Because there's really a huge problem. Actually, my colleagues before have already stated that in the food loss. Normally, I broke into food loss and food waste. Food waste is more what happens in let's say, in our houses, in the restaurants, and so on. But the food loss happens really in the transformation of the food. What we are really doing to make our food safe or food available to the customers, and that we really have to do it. And it's not because the food producers are bad people. They usually want to do as much as they can, but we are losing part of the food that we are producing in the fields is lost in the transformation. Because at the end of the day, we are going to a market. The market doesn't want everything. They only want what we buy. We normally make an analogy here is just think, you don't buy apples. When you go to buy, you buy the apple that you like. Maybe there's a lot of apples in the shelf, but you don't really buy all of them. You only buy the one that you really like. And that's part of the problem. And that happens in the retail, but that also happens during production. Actually, we already saw that there's an 18% of the vegetables are not transformed. But in the case of vegetables that are produced here in Spain, in the north of Spain, we are talking up to 45% of that biomass is lost. Okay, that's only in Spain. Actually, only in the region we are right now, it's more than 300,000 tons. But in the case of broccoli, in Spain, we are talking about 150,000 tons every year that we are not using. Because one thing that people don't realize, you know that Spain is one of the largest producers of food in the world, of vegetables mainly, olive oil and so on. But we are also one of the major producers of broccoli, normally the first exporter worldwide. I'm not going to talk about the recycling, because a lot of people have already explained what is it, but that's what we do. So we got those 150, that's, it's 14, 18, depending on. And where we were born, actually, our foundation is in 2017, as Senor has already explained you. But the idea that take us into being born was really from 2006, when all the food sector of the Ebro Valley in the north of Spain, that is mainly La Rioja and Navarra, but it's one of the largest areas of Spain to produce vegetables, really got together in an association that was called Cubero at that time, Alinar now, and they really saw that the problem of the byproducts was increasing because they were doing more and more food, and they were having more and more byproducts, and they didn't know what to do with them because, let's say, the traditional ways of using them, giving them to cows and things like that, were not enough at the end of the day, and were not, let's say, sufficient, because at the end of the day, if you give them to the cows, it's good. No, we are not complaining about that. But a food plant really produces, one day produces 1 ton, and the next day can produce 100 tons, and during 2 days, no tons. And the cows are always there, and they have to eat every day. That's not really an efficient system. So they created a company to see how to create sustainable systems and sustainable business plans and models to do things with byproducts. That company is not us, it's TRASA, it's Tratamientos de Productos Agroalimentarios SL. That is one of our founders. We are really the first business model that was put in place after they were researching and seeing how to do it. And that research was really done with a lot of partners. Collaboration is key in this kind of things. Actually, I was not working in TRASA, neither in Tecnalia, the other partner, that is the research center, one of the main one that they were using to help them. I was working in one of the companies that were helping them, to be honest. So, and that's where they knew me. And part of the prototypes that took into Ingredalia were really done by me and that company. So that's how we got together. And when they created the company in 2017, actually December, so it's more 2018, and they began to raise the money to begin and everything. Then they offered me to be a late founder and got into the company in 2020 February. Yes, I know the best moment for a change of life in the late years. I know that, but that's where the real start of the company, of the operations of the company, were. Okay? Because that's idea here. Then you have to look for money and partners. And right now we are 14 partners in the company, myself included. And we scale up the technology that was done in the lab during 2021 and 22. And sales are beginning from 2023. Actually, one of the key things I want to tell you during this presentation is that getting into the market a technological product is not fast, because a lot of people have to understand what you're offering them. You have to really be able to transmit properly your value, why they have to buy your ingredient and not what is already in the market. And that takes normally a lot of time. Okay? So who we are right now, we are really industry, because 50% of the company is owned by industrials. Then 19% of the company is really that industrial founder that was really created from the industry too, and research technology. Okay. And obviously, I'm here. My small barrel still, but we are really a link between industry and research that really tries to do things in a scientific point of view, but industrial. Okay? That's the key point for this. So that's our real differentiation. We are actually we are not absolutely certified yet, because we are not selling in United States. Unfortunately, that seal is only for United States right now. But we know that we are the most sustainable partner for broccoli products, for supplements, and for health food in the market, because we are the only ones in the world that we are doing this kind of products from the byproducts. And actually, we are the only ones that have in one of the parts of the product, it's an enzyme that we are recovering also from the byproducts. And we have done all the scientific validation to make sure that our product is not only bibliography, it's what it really says. And obviously, we will work on a patent when we are making more patents right now, not yet in place, but we are going to present them very soon. And one of the things that I also want to transmit is when you have an innovation, when you have a new ingredient and everything, you have to be competitive in price. Because if you are too expensive, if paying a shot for one day, it takes, I would say $18, it takes you $10,000, nobody will buy it. You have to use technology to be competitive, also in price, not only. Sustainability has 3 pillars. One is the environmental. Second is a social one that we also fulfill, because we are solving a problem from the producers and giving more value to them too. But the third is economical. You also have to be sustainable, economically speaking. So let's go for our products in the market right now. Actually, as Junho has said, we are a platform to do things with all the byproducts of Spain, to be honest. But right now, what it's already in the market, it's validated and in the market, it's only coming from broccoli. That's the one that we started from. But soon things from artichoke, from asparagus, from tomato, from carrot will come into the market, also with our brand on it. Our flagship is really Sulforafan Smart, this one. And I'm going to explain it right now. Because, well, as I said, in the case of broccoli, those are real pictures from a plant of broccoli. And this is a real picture of the byproduct of broccoli, that they are just throwing it away because it's not fit for the market. It's not really that it's a bad product. You can eat it. But it's not so, let's say, glamorous and doesn't look so fit as the one that you buy in the supermarket. So that's more or less 35% of the broccoli that gets into a plant is not used to be eaten. And that's for us, that's a real waste, to be honest. So what do? We take the byproduct. We do two kinds of extraction, actually. One that where we recover. Actually, we are recovering the two precursors of the molecule that really makes broccoli a superfood. Actually, 99 of 100 benefits of broccoli are really linked to one substance only, that is called sulforaphane. That's the reason of the name of our product, sulforaphane. But broccoli is also a liar because it doesn't have it. Actually, what it has is a molecule that is called glucoraphanin, that is a natural glucosinolate, glucoside of an isothiocyanate, natural, and an enzyme that makes the conversion of that molecule into sulforaphane. What we do, we recover both using two different extraction methods, of course. One is solvent-based, alcohol, and the other is water-based. Actually, the one for the recovery of the enzyme, it will be our second patent because we have developed it already to improve our product. And then we put it, those two, in a double layer microcapsule. This powder that you see here is not really a powder. It's like our planet. It has a core where we put the glucosinolate extract and a shell where we put the enzymatic extract. All together and protected from acidity. Why we do it so complicated? Because that's a normal question that the people do to me. And that's really because when we eat broccoli, and don't get me wrong, eat broccoli and eat byproducts, we are really generating that substance, but neither sulforaphane or glucoraphanin or myrosinase, that's the name of the enzyme, are not really stable in an acidic media. So we are losing it during the way. And obviously, we are getting more or less 1% or less of sulforaphane in the intestine, but really it's absorbed and makes all the health benefits in broccoli, mainly anti-inflammatory, but also immune boosting, immune system boosting, detoxification of liver, detoxification of all contaminants that you can think of, and even cancer prevention and metastasis prevention, to be honest. But we need to eat a lot of broccoli to have the benefit because of that loss, because if they are not stable in an acidic media like our mouth or stomach. Then why we are using this powder, we protect it from the acidic media, we do an enteric microcapsule, okay? And then gets through and then opens in the intestine directly, and really makes us more or less 4,000 times more efficient delivering sulforaphane than eating broccoli, or from 3 to 100 times more efficient than the competitors in the market right now, depending on the technology that they have. Because that's the technology, and that's why the approach we are giving to all that we are doing, to really give that value, that extra value that you can have your broccoli of the day with that little pill, or gummies, for example. We have already several customers, mainly in Spain right now. We are not yet in Asia. We hope to be there soon. But we have it can be applied in honeys, in a honey, it can be applied in gummies, in capsules, in pills, in nutraceutical products. Actually, the first product that got into the market with our ingredient was for horses. Okay. That's this is not really the first one, but it's the one that we are seeing more right now. But we are really doing things that really improve our pets' health, but also people's health. Because actually, from the horses, we know that the horses that have been eaten one pill a day of 100 milligrams of our ingredient are able to recover after the racing circuit, not in weeks as normal, but in days, from 3 to 4 weeks to 2-3 days. And that's because of our ingredient, and more things that can happen. We are still a small company, a small team, mainly a scientific company, people, but our last incorporation is my colleague Manuel, It's really more focused in business development, more in sales and management for the business. Actually, altogether, we are right now holding more than 100 years of experience in the food industry. So it's we are growing and doing more things. We already have our certifications from IFS to be able to go to United States, Europe, in the future to Asia. We are right now located, as I said, in the north of Spain. We were born in a small city called Miracle in Spanish. And during the COVID crisis, so people think it's quite funny. that it's a little joke of life. But we have already a lab, application lab, development lab near Pamplona in Noain, where I am right now. And very soon we will have an industrial plant, a small industrial plant running in Tudela, in the south of Pamplona. Because all the development that we did was done really in third parties to avoid the first capex, but to validate our product in the market. Now that we know that the product is good, now we can do the investments. Those are part of the recognitions that we have already had. We are also one of the founders of an association that is called Food and Agri-Tech Europe. Actually, we are very happy to welcome everyone that can be of value. As an example, Cluster Food Plus I is one of the partners in that association. But also we all the organizations from Spain, from Europe, that we have already had because of our approach to upcycling. And thank you for listening. And then, as I say here, if you want to improve people's health and in a sustainable way, we are here, all us.
Thank you, Mr. Miguel Angelo. It was an inspiring introduction of your company and your business models. And it seems like while using upcycled ingredients, looks like it has a high barrier because you need to spend your time and resources for your research and developments. But once your model is good to go, I think it is very profitable and also really beneficial for reducing food waste as well. So thank you so much for your presentation. Next, we have Mr. Ole Bent Nielsen, CEO from Ohpops from Denmark. Ohpops offer a healthier alternative to the highly processed, sugar-filled snacks found on store shelves. Ohpops actually actively supports regular digestion with prebiotic dietary fibers. Please welcome Mr. Ole Bent Nielsen to the floor. Mr. Nielsen, you are in mute. Could you kindly unmute in your system, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm ready to go. Thank you for having me. I'm Ole Nielsen, and I created Ohpops, Mind Your Gut, back in 2018. We are placing gut health at the heart of our well-being with 3 highly nutritious plants. I started my journey with reading a lot of scientific papers to understand all the nutrition and the food and problems you have related to the food you're eating. And I learned the words of May and sponsored by. It gave me quite some problems in the beginning. Our whole food crunchy pop was a reality after more than 300 tests. And we believe that the balance of nature, we don't use any chemicals, we don't add anything. And in a gentle process with water, heat, and pressure, we create a crunchy and functional. It's very healthy and very crunchy. The 3 natural and organic ingredients we use are whole grain gluten-free oat, it's brown pea protein, and hemp protein. Together, these 3 plants makes the RTE snack, which is loaded with nutrition. We have 38% protein with all amino acids. We have 12% fibers with beta-glucan. We have a lot of B vitamins, B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, and B9. We have the choline, and we have vitamin K1. And we also have a lot of minerals, which iron, zinc, magnesium, phosphorus, calcium, potassium, and manganese. We even have omega-3 and phytonutrition. And it all comes from the 3 plants. Nothing is added. So when you look at the ingredients list, you will see the whole grain oat, the pea protein, the hemp protein. That's all, 3 ingredients. And when you look at the macronutrition, you will see that the fiber and the protein is nearly half of the product, which means it's a very good product for to give a better blood sugar control. You see the vitamins is quite a good level, and the minerals are very, very high in content. So very special to have such an nutrition from 3 plants alone. Our strategy was to create functional foods with strong prebiotic functions. We're looking at stomach pains, constipations, bloating, diarrhea. Mainly comes from unhealthy food. We even look at fatty liver, allergy, diabetes, and mood disorders, which also comes from the unhealthy food combined with the lifestyle. So with Ohpops, we can change the way consumers solve their gut problems with a natural and plant-based food product. We take our journey back from 2018. We established Lækkerpro, another company name, and we created a protein snack based on hydrolyzed meat protein. And we spent 2 years and a lot of money to get this product in the market. It was very difficult to get hydrolyzed meat protein to taste well in a snack, but we succeeded. And luckily, the supplier closed their production. I say luckily because all the young people I met, they were after me, telling me that I should change my product into based on plant protein. So from 20 to 21, we made more than 300 tests, and we developed a new protein snack based on our 3 plants with all 20 amino acids as the head goal. At that time, I didn't know much about nutrition, and I was focusing on the protein content of amino acids. So I took 3 plants which support each other, and now we have a very high level of the amino acids. So in 21, we launched 3 different flavors in the market in 100 stores, and we were ready to take the world by storm. But the beginning of Ohpops turned into a love-hate relationship. The love story, what to lose? We have done the impossible. We created a healthy snack with only 3 ingredients and with no starch, no fillers. It was a very healthy product. We even had a cool branding made by HMT in Sweden. And we had the possibility to create a strong market position. We even had retailers in Europe interested in our product. But the love story met reality. We were one of the first companies to introduce functional food. So it was the very beginning. We had extremely high production costs. We were facing logistical challenges, and we had a complex product which were impossible to scale. We'd made tests in 5 factories around in Europe, and we didn't succeed to scale it up. We had a short shelf life because of production mistakes, and we had to manage the relationship with retailers as a big pro company. The product took a lot of space, so there was a lot of challenges. So before the Ohpops adventure could even begin, it got to an end. We were facing financial challenges. We had promised the investors, they became impatient and they lost interest. The product had a very short shelf life and the stores didn't support our mission. So what to do? I needed to rethink the business case, and I realized a few things end of 22. The first thing was that it was very early in the introduction of functional food, but the industry was growing, so that was positive. I received feedback from people with gut problems who found relief after incorporating Ohpops into their daily routines. And I met a person who made me realize that I had to change my mindset regarding the business. So I started to focus being more independent and to leave the big dreams for a while, take one day at a time, cut all expenses, and to create scalability. So how did we do that? I moved the spices and oil. So I went from 3 to 1 product, and I cut off a lot of cost in production process. And we even extended the shelf life from 5 to 18 months. So it became easy to handle the product. We changed the business, so there was no room for salary. We made a lot of cost reductions. And we had a lot of meetings with the potential investors without success. And we had to find a new investor perspective, which were family and friends. We had to keep on working in a process where we should understand and accept the project's difficulties. We should seek opportunities comparing our functional snack with supplements. And we should keep on exploring Ohpops by discussing the product and opportunities with other stakeholders. So we kept on fine-tuning the brand in a process which is still going on. So from establishing the product in 2018 to 20 with the meat snack, in 21 we had the plant-based snack ready and we launched to the market. But already in August 22, we had to remove it. We didn't sell enough. The brand was unknown. It was a very expensive product, and it was impossible with the resources we had. So in February 23, we started a new funding process. And we made some patent applications. We made a new brand strategy, new website, new packaging, and new partnerships. And we created Ohpops Mind Your Gut, and it was launched in January 24. So from being a product which should disrupt the market with a new kind of healthy snack, we now changed the brand purpose to a product which should see to your well-being, a product for gut health, which were a product people were seeking instead of a product which should compete with other products in the retails. With the new brand purpose, we can tap into several trends in society. We are right in time. There's a lot of focus on nutritious and whole food. There's a lot of social debate about ultra-processed food, which is all over right now. They try to make new labeling, the packaging, so it's easier to consumers to avoid the ultra-processed food. I should say the unhealthy ultra-processed food, because there's also healthy ultra-processed food. And there's also a lot of hype about food as the new medicine. So the product is right in time, and we have a lot of opportunities, but we need to find investors, and we're looking for research partners. We have made the first test with Irish doctor who knows a lot about the bacteria. So we have seen that a lot of things is happening when you eat prebiotic. It's probiotic have been the hype until now, but when you eat probiotics, you need the prebiotics to feed the probiotic bacteria. And when you do this, you create short-chain fatty acids, and you will strengthen your mucus layer, which gives you a stronger immune system. And I don't know about the timing. It's the first time I make such a presentation, so I'm not used to this. But I'll go back to the saying from Hippocrates: all diseases begins in the gut. And I think everybody who works in this field, they understand this today, that we have to take care of the food we eat, and we have to take care of our gut. I think that's for now. How's the timing? Is it okay to stop here?
Yeah, it's all good. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much again for Mr. Nielsen for your honest sharing of the brand story. Well, even though a business started with a good cause, I think we shouldn't neglect the one big thing, which is the market and consumers. It is a good thing that Ohpops started with the fine tuning, and I really appreciate your presentation, and good luck on your journey.
Thank you.
Now that we have proceeded more than half of the webinar, we kindly remind you with the questions. I don't see any questions in the Q&A box yet, but if you have any questions, please write it in the Q&A box. We will answer it once when the webinar is all over. Also, speakers are encouraged to question to other speakers. Okay, let's move on to our last speaker. Our last speaker is Junho Hwang, General Manager at Borambio, a Korean company specializing in deriving healthy ingredients from natural ingredients. Borambio is focusing on health beneficial ingredients and final products such as dietary supplements. Mr. Junho Hwang will present how Borambio is pioneering the use of fermented whey protein as a functional food ingredient and its benefits for human health. This session will explore the future of the fermented protein in the functional food industry. Please welcome Mr. Junho Hwang to the floor.
네, 안녕하십니까. 보람바이오
Greetings,
홍준호.
everyone. I'm from Borambio. My name is Junho.
들리시죠?
I think you can hear my voice well.
저희는 천연자원 기반
My company is working on the commercialization on the functional materials developed from natural resources. So let me briefly introduce my company first. And as MC said, I'm going to talk about the fermented whey protein as well in my presentation.
우선은 회사에 대한
To
소개를
begin
먼저
with,
드릴게요.
my company introduction.
저희 회사는
Borambio
혁신적인 천연물
is
기반
working
식품을
on the
글로벌
innovation of product-based food medicine to be the global leader in this field. That is kind of company mission. So the first kind of goal is the
원료를
consistency in
제약회사 혹은 직접
materials.
재배를 통해서
We
원료를
directly
첨가하고 있고요.
harvest
두 번째는
the raw
원료가
materials for the
훌륭한
consistency in
검정
terms of
공정을
quality, and we also have our standardized kind of
유지하고 있습니다.
format to maintain the
그리고
quality
그거에 대해서
and the
가공
format
과정에서
of raw materials.
제약사를
And we have our
통해서
own
식품을
factories where we
미국,
deliver our
한국이나
product
중국
to our
쪽에
clients,
수출을 하고 있습니다.
some in US and China as well.
기본적으로 저희는
So
식품
basically,
원료와
my company
건강기능식품을
working
하고
on
있고요.
study of the functional product and health
식품 원료와
products,
건강기능식품 모두 R&D를 기반으로
and every
데이터를 확보하고
product
있습니다.
are being researched to produce the R&D
회사는
evidences.
1999년에 제일 처음
The
설립이
company was
되었고요.
founded back in 1909, and in 2018, we studied the watermelon peel and used the extract in watermelon called lycopene and commercialized this substance and got a price from the company, which is an industrial price. And as a research company, in 2023, we acquired the UDAM so that we can produce our product by ourselves, not just focusing on R&D only. So we have both capabilities nowadays. So the maturity of our teams, our researchers, including CEO, 5 researchers in our company, and the remaining employees are for sales people, marketing people, and logistics people. So in total, we have 5 researchers. So here in the slide, you can see the 5 members of the research team who have either master or higher degree in the field of science. I talked about the raw material study in the previous slide. So like you see here, for the past 2 to 3 years, we worked on the creation of the smartphone farm so that we can produce the product here regardless of the seed instance. When it comes to functional products, the marker is also important. So by using smartphone, we are studying the biomarkers as well. So since we were founded a long time ago, we received many awards and certificates as well, as you can see here. And besides, we have also certificate for the individual items of the functional product as well. So we are the company that produces the green bio grains and raw materials, and there are 3 main business lines. We have one business line responsible for the general product and medicinal product, and another business line for the natural products. So in the Korean regulation, if you develop the product from natural substances, there should be additional processes you need to go through to get the registration. So we are kind of studying, producing the natural-based medicines as well. So I will give one case of our study. When people ages, one of the problem you will have is sarcopenia, which means that you are losing muscle mass. As you well may be aware, sarcopenia happens as people ages, and because of sarcopenia, when people fall down, they can hurt very seriously and sometimes cannot live alone. So sarcopenia hurts the quality of life of patients. Also, in order to maintain the bone mass or bone health, workout, diet, and protein intake is quite important to prevent sarcopenia. So that's why I want to talk about the whey protein. As you know, whey protein is a byproduct of the cheese production facility. Of course, when it comes, whey protein is usually used by bodybuilder or those who are working in the field of the weightlifting. There are essential amino acid and functional peptides, and the branched chain amino acid can be also found in whey protein, which is very useful for the people suffering from sarcopenia. Whey protein also contains a bioactive component like beta-lactoglutamine, alpha-lactobumin, serum albumin, immunoglobulin, and lactoferrin. So there are ample substances you can find in protein. I mean, whey protein.
몇몇 이런 육천들의 성분에 의한 기능성을 살펴보면
And if you see the functionality of them, it is very effective for hypertension, cancer, hyperlipidemia, and virus infections because whey protein boosts your immune system.
시장에서는 주로
In the market,
단백질 보충제에 대한
there is a
수요가
growing demand for the protein supplement products. So youngsters and aged people can use whey protein to improve their muscle mass or muscle strength. I mean, bone strength. Also, the second topic I want to talk about is the fermentation. Fermented products have many beneficial effects, and kimchi is a representative example of the fermented food in Korea. So what about the fermented whey protein? In the process of fermenting protein, the structure of protein changes and it can be easily digested in human body. Also, one study says that this kind of fermented whey protein is quite effective in improving the bone mass and bone weight, and fermented milk products can be created with many bacteria. And this is bioactive peptide you can find in fermented whey protein, which is very similar to the hormone regulation functions of our human body. Especially when it comes to casein phosphate peptide or CPP. When CPP is generated during the fermentation of digestion of milk, it prevents the calcium, it increases the calcium bioavailability by preventing the precipitation of calcium salt. Also, lactobacillus strain, some of the strains of lactobacillus is very effective when it comes to bone mass increase and the immune boosting in a mouse model. So to put it very simply, whey protein is that much good, and what happens if it is fermented? That was the first question we asked. So we did a comparison between unfermented whey protein and fermented whey protein. So in the first study, to understand the function of the whey protein, we selected several strains for the test. As it was said in the previous presentation, in kimchi, Lactobacillus plantarum were found, and there were 4 species of it, and Pasasi and Kaze and Sake were found as well. So in total, the 7 strains were selected as candidates, and we look into the protein dissolution capability of them, not to mention the antioxidization and the anti-germ capability of beta-galactosidase, and also we look into the anti-acidness function of the strains and anti-moisture capabilities as well. And it turns out that this Lactobacillus casei or DK2111 code name should be the first one we need to work on. So under what condition, the question is under what condition the whey protein will be well fermented. And 7% of WPC glucose, 3% were the optimal condition for the fermentation of whey protein, it turns out. Also, what about the temperature? 37 degrees Celsius was the optimal temperature for the fermentation of whey protein. Also, if you see the comparison of each strain, we did a comparison study, and DK211 turns out to be the most effective fermentation candidate in terms of the pH change. At the last stage, we tried the hydrolysis to understand the dissolution of the whey protein, and DK211 was used for this test as well. So as you can see here, DK211 shows the highest level of hydrolysis activity, and at the time point of 20 hours, as time goes by, the amount of protein gets less and less because of the dissolution of protein in the solution. So what about the amino acid content after the dissolution? Because amino acids is one of the byproduct of dissolution from the WPC and FWP. And with the comparison, and alladine proline, interleucin, leucin, glutamine acids, and valine improved in a significant manner. And also PCAE, which is very critical for the bone mass enhancement, were found in a large quantity. The differences was 3 to 4-fold if you see this graph. And also, we saw the molecular weight after fermentation, and it was over 5,000 before fermentation in 94% of the sample, but after fermentation, the molecule size kind of becomes more diverse. And after fermentation, you can see the range of between 5,000 to 3,000 got reduced. So after that, we did the additional study to understand the reaction within our human body. We selected 50 participants, and the age was between 30 to 6 years old, and body mass index was 18.5 to 30 kilogram per square meter. The amount of the protein we fed in case of the fermented whey protein and whey protein were like this, as you can see in the slide. And our target of the study was we need to produce a better outcome in the population fed with the fermented whey protein. And we let the patient to work out 3 times a week in the playground in Dankook University Hospital. And everything got certified by RLB. And this is a resistance exercise program we gave. Like I said, the frequency was 3 times a week, up to 1 to 130 seconds. And we did an assessment after the exercise to understand the dynamic equilibrium change of the patients. And this is the program of the exercise, as you can see here. So these are all written in Korean, but if you Google it, you'll be able to find the English version of the paper. So if you want it, please tell me so that I can share. This is the outcome of the study. First, the the muscle strength assessment. The fermented whey protein and whey protein were compared, and both got improved after the exercise and intake of the protein. So the difference between the two groups were not statistically meaningful. And these are the detailed breakdown of the analysis. And the key difference was found in the dynamic equilibrium, right side and left side. You can see the clear difference in these 2 items of dynamic equilibrium. But in case of the fist power, in case of the people fed with the fermented whey protein, their kind of feed strength was stronger, but the difference between the two groups were not statistically meaningful. It was a long study, so the difference between the group was quite mild, so it was not statistically meaningful. And what about the upper limb or the firmer strength? The improvement of the muscle strength was statistically meaningful, but not that different between the two groups. For the dynamic equilibrium on the right side and left side, these are the graphs for the left and right side. For the right side of the dynamic equilibrium, the group fed with the fermented product showed the greater improvement. But for the left side, you can see the clear difference between the two groups. And also from the baseline at the point of 8 weeks, you can see the clear difference between the two groups. And these are the further breakdowns of the previous table. The first is grip strength and arm circumference. The muscle mass in arm and thigh were different between the two groups. So you can see some effect in the group fed with the fermented whey protein, but it was not statistically meaningful. To produce statistically meaningful outcome, we focus on the dynamic equilibrium, and this is how the test is performed. With the one leg, you create a Y shape with your leg to push the plate on the bottom and measure the distance of the pushing to understand the strength of the core muscles. So this is the outcome of the study. We did a test with the fermented whey protein. So by using those two topics, fermentation, whey protein, we thought that the amino acid structure can change and the size of the protein can be reduced to improve the digestion and distribution of the protein. So we look into the amino acid molecules, and BCAA were improved with the fermentation in a significant manner, which is very critical for the intake of protein and bioavailability of the protein we expected. So we did a test for 8 weeks for the male adult participant to understand their muscle mass parameter changes. When they intake the whey protein, of course, muscle mass increases. So we gave the fermented whey protein and non-fermented whey protein to understand the effect of the fermentation between the two groups. And this is first outcome. It turns out that the lower limb bone strength and muscle strength got improved in the fermentation group. And through the dynamic equilibrium test, it turns out that the fermented whey protein can improve them to maintain their stability in the lower limbs and reduce the chance of falling down. And these outcomes suggest that the fermented whey protein can be promising products. So we talked with the external parties that produces the whey proteins and fermentation products. We had some discussion, and Namyangjuo is one Korean company to produce the dairy product. And they joined this study to produce this fermented whey protein. We are providing the raw material so that they can produce the final product. And you can see that the fermented whey protein label is on the front side of the product. And this claim is clearly visible. But the substances were recently developed, so revenue is not that high yet. The revenue is around 270 million in Korean currency. So far, I talked about the recent study and technology of the Borambio. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your very insightful presentation. And now, actually, this is leading us to the Q&A session that we have for you. We have heard a lot of insightful and inspiring presentation from a lineup of international speakers. So thank you to all the speakers for the very inspiring and insightful into functional food for a healthier tomorrow, but also for a more sustainable food production. So now we have the Q&A session. We already have some questions in the chat, but please, I see they're coming in. So we will take them step by step. Unfortunately, I cannot read. The first question is all in Korean from Dong Yong Seo. Would someone please maybe read it out so we could maybe have a online here reply to it? Okay,
So I'll interpret it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to read it out aloud. 한글로 읽겠습니다. 통역해 주시면 될 것
I'm
같아요.
gonna read it and I'll
이형준
interpret
대표님께
it. So to the CEO of
네,
Hyungjin Lee of
스마트
Webiom,
플랫폼을
in your
보유하고
presentation,
계시다고
you said
말씀하셨습니다.
you
이
operate a platform
플랫폼에
called Smart
사용자는
Iom.
누구인지,
And who are the main
다른
users
기업들도
of this
오픈을 할수
platform?
있는
Is it open to other companies as well?
어떻게 하면
How
다른 기업들이
can
위바이옴과
companies
협업을
collaborate
하고
with
이 플랫폼을
Webiom
사용할 수
and
있는지가
utilize this
궁금합니다. 라고
platform?
질문 주셨습니다.
And this is the question written in Korean.
네, 그 스마트홈은
As for the Smart Home, it is owned by Go Live, my parent company, to develop the new materials. So that is the platform, the proprietarily owned by the company. So it is not open to other businesses. The material that the company will develop can be utilized by the functional food companies like us, or if you are interested, you can look at the data. And so like we license that product from the Go Live, you can look at the data and get a license from it. And another thing, the point that you can think of it is that whether it is a particular disease or it is a particular functional foods, if you are interested in, and I think we can conduct a joint research with you to develop that kind of ingredient. So in the past, in Korea, we have coma.
염증성 장질환 관련된
So the inflammatory bowel disease related, this strain was developed with the other companies. And in China, under the Shanghai Pharmaceutical, we have a CMI. And so we licensed our product to the Chinese company. And also the Celtron, which is very renowned company in Korea, is one of our partner company. And also we partnered with Hwang Pharmaceutical. So it is difficult for me to disclose this name. We have other companies that are interested in microbiome. So we are conducting joint research with other Korean large companies now. And Webiom have produced the functional foods, and we are already producing the ingredients for functional foods. So if you are interested in particular the materials or ingredients, you always contact us. We are open to it. So we can simply sell our products to you so you can purchase our products. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the reply. And we do have time for a few more questions. And the next is for Mr. Ole Nielsen from Ohpops. Simon Farsgaard would like to know, how do you work with the documentation or documenting the health effects of your product? Ole, are you still here? Maybe you should unmute yourself, or you. Okay, maybe we can go to the next one. No, you're there. Okay. So again, Ole, how do you work with the documentation of the health effects for your product?
Can I have the question one more time?
Yes. How do you work with the documenting the health effects of your product?
The first stage here is for 2 years we had people who are using the product, but then in half a year ago I made the first phases test with an Irish scientist, and she's a specialist in gut bacteria. And she made the first reports. Now this report is related to patent applications, so I cannot say so much rather than the product works with the microbiome. It works within days. You see results. And the next step will be to get financial for making. We'll make 4 tests with 36 person. It should be children, boys and girls. It should be women before menopause, and it should be women and men in the elder stage plus 60. This is the second part of the test, and then after that we'll make some large tests with 5 to 750 persons. But I'm looking for the funding for this. It's quite expensive. I have a small test ongoing now with 16 women who all had problems with the stomach and skin issues, and some of them had anxiety. So it's a very, very interesting area. I would love to share much more, but for the time being, I'm blocked to say too much. I hope that will open up soon. Of course, if any investors are interested, there will be an NDA, and then I can open more about the science we have seen until now.
Thank you very much. Interesting, and yes, it's a constant ongoing research you have to do, and we wish you the best for the investment round. We have time for another question, and I think maybe Mr. Was it Young who could reply to this? But anyway, I'll read out loud the question. Who are your typical consumer? Are you functional product primarily used by people with specific health concerns, or are your customers mainly healthy people trying to optimize their health? So it goes both ways, and let me just see who could maybe.
I can give
Mr. Young from Borambio, could you? I was told here in the chat that you maybe, or maybe the Spanish company can reply to this.
보람바이오 형제에서 제가 답변을 드려야
So
될까요?
I am a Hwang from Borambio. So can I answer the question?
네.
Yes, please.
아까 설명해 드렸던
So as I said, the fermented whey protein is targeting the people in the mid or older population. There are some foods for the patients that include the fermented whey proteins. We have this one, and we are making the process and for testing. And from September, the test will go on, and this product specifically targets the older population. And is that enough? Did I answer the question?
I think so. Otherwise, we will maybe collect more replies later. We can just have time for the last question, and Kyungbae, it's a question for you. What technical or regulatory barriers are currently limited the scale-up of these side stream valuation technologies? So, Mr. Lee, are you here?
예, 있습니다.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
here.
Did you hear the question?
네, 질문 들으셨나요?
그 질문
Yes.
주신 사항에 대해서
Alright.
답변을 좀 드리겠습니다.
So I'll give you
우선
my
저희가
answer.
진행했었던 그 농산물에서
So we
발생되는 그런
have
부산물의
the science
기능성
stream
그 규명을 하는 데 있어서 최종적인
testing
목표는
and
건강
to
기능식품
validate its
기능성
effectiveness
원료로
for functional foods.
인정을
We
받기
conducted
위해서
the
하는
test,
그런
and that is to
단계였습니다.
validate its
그
effectiveness
우리나라에서는
as a
이런
functional
기능성
food
원료로
material
인정을
in
받기
Korea. In order
위해서는
to get the
식약처에서 인정을
validation
받아야
in Korea,
되는데요.
we have to
이
get a
식약처에
certification from the
관련된
Korean
어떤
Food and
자료들을
Drug
제출을
Agency.
하는데
So we submitted
원료
documents to the
표준화에
Korean
대한
FDA,
그런 제조
and
공정이나
we have to submit the processing for the standardization of ingredients and the effectiveness, the tests results, and also toxicity testing results should be submitted. Of course, the rice husks and the onion peels are the general food. So for the toxicity testing, we have used the general testing for those and submitted to the FDA. So we have to convince or evidence that to the Korean FDA that these foods are safe and are effective on the functions of human. So we have collected all the data and submitted to Korean FDA, and that authority examine it and certify the release of the products. Only when that happens, we were able to produce the products. So it takes a lot of time and money to go through that procedures. And in order to have the optimal ingredients through the process, so at labs need to scale up and apply it to the processing in the facilities. So we have to address all the problems in those steps. So the development requires a lot of time. We have to deal with a lot of problems that occur, and we have to overcome the hurdles that might be posed by the Korea FDA. So I'm not sure if I answered the question right.
Well, thank you very much. I think we are coming to a close to our webinar, and we will collect the rest of the questions through the survey after the webinar. And as our first commentator, Junho, she just sent the survey by email to all of you. So please feel free to add more questions, and you can also drop a connection request to us if you will shortly assist you. I think all the very great questions have shown that there's a lot of testing, a lot of money, very money intensive, so to speak. But before we are almost closing, but then I see you have raised your hand. Please go ahead. If it's a short remark, yes. You're muted. Please unmute yourself. Then, okay.
It was just the former question. We have 30% of all people at this earth who are fighting with some kind of gut issues.
Yes.
And of course, most of it is related to obesity, but there's a lot to do for people who need prebiotic, probiotic, and all this help from the food we work with. So there's a lot to do. But even people who don't, they look into longevity products. So the market is enormous.
That's another area, longevity. People are more interested in what you can optimize your health. So yes, thank you so much for all your comments. And this, unfortunately, yes, sorry, go ahead.
We have to announce our expression of interest for the mission.
I'm coming to that now. You will have the floor in 2 minutes. I'm sorry. I'll just close down, and you will be on in just a minute. I'm just going to say the last few words here. It will bring us to the close of the food webinar. But before we go, on behalf of Foodpolis and the other partners in the Global Alliance for Food, we would like to thank you, our speakers, the partners and participants from around the world, to make this session a success with great both presentation and questions. So we hope that this webinar will initiate a new collaboration, greater inspiration in the global food technology ecosystem. But now it comes right here. But before the webinar, we would like to make an announcement. We have some great news. We are promoting in a few minutes the upcoming educational and innovation visit program to Korea, Explore Innovation South Korea. So as a dedicated alliance member and participant of the program, of course, Raquel from Food and I, she will share the details and will be promoting this. We hope you will enjoy it and will feel that this is a mission that you cannot miss. So now I will leave you.
Thank you, Susanne. Thank you so much. And a big thank you again to all of our speakers for their insightful presentation. We really appreciate you sharing your knowledge. It has been a truly inspiring session. And now, as Susan announced, on behalf of the Global Alliance for Food, I would like to take just a couple of minutes to remind you of a concrete opportunity. We are organizing an innovation mission to South Korea, taking place from October 27th to 31st, as part of our ongoing efforts to connect European companies with Korean agri-food and food tech ecosystem. So during the week, we will have visits to innovative companies and R&D centers. We will have meetings with the startups, clusters, and key stakeholders in the Korean food tech space, networking activities to explore collaboration, partnership, or technology scouting, and a visit to Korea's leading agri-food trade fair, COEX Food Week. The agenda is being prepared in close collaboration with our local partners and Junho from Foodpolis to ensure it brings real value to participants. So this mission is designed for agri-food companies with a strong focus on innovation. It's designed also for startups and scale-ups and organizations looking to explore the Korean market or build international collaboration. If you are interested, we invite you to fill out our expression of interest form. You can scan the QR code and we will share the link into the chat now. This is not a binding commitment. It's just a first step to help us better understand who is interested and how we can tailor the mission to your needs. Korea is moving fast in food innovation, and this mission is a unique opportunity to experience that momentum firsthand. We hope to see many of you join us on this exciting journey. Please don't miss the opportunity. And thank you so much. St. John, please, if you want to close.
Thank you very much, Raquel, for the introduction of the Explore program. The program is going to be held at the last week of October, and we are planning it to be very informative and with a lot of collaboration opportunities between organizations and companies that are in the food and agriculture industry. Yeah, so this concludes our webinar for today, from leftovers to lifesavers. We look forward to see you again at our upcoming sessions. Yeah, until then, stay focused, stay curious, and have a good rest of the day, everyone. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.